Hi, I'm Sean Smith. This is Sean Smith Photos, where I edit street photography and occasional travel photos in On1 Photo Raw. So today I'm responding to a post I saw on a Facebook group about On1, where David Richardson says, "Does anyone know an easy way to add f-stop, shutter speed, and ISO info as text onto a number of images? I can do it by adding text, but as I have 100 or so images, can it be automated?" All right. Well, this is actually something I've wanted to do for a while, but hadn't bothered to figure out until now. And the reason I want to do it is I've noticed on Vero a couple of people that I follow, when they upload photos, they upload a second one that includes camera information, similar to this, which is by Howard Ewan on Vero. And if you like street photography, I strongly recommend you go follow him. His images are rock solid. In any case, I like the format of what he's got here, because the image that he's giving the information about is in the background and it's got a blur applied to it. And then we've got icons representing each of the different bits of info that he's including. So we've got aperture, shutter speed, ISO, focal length, the camera, and the lens, which is repeated below that, and then his little copyright information. Now, we can do this in On1 in two different ways, and neither of them is perfect, but one is better than the other. And I'm hoping that On1 will watch this video and maybe make adjustments to the way that these approaches work in future updates. So let's get to it. So I've got 3 photos down here. This one is processed, and then these 2 are not processed yet, except for minor crops. And I'm going to take a look at the first approach to this, which is using the develop module and presets. So I've moved into develop, and I'm going to jump into my presets. And I don't have a preset made yet, but we're going to do that, and I'm going to show you what you get, and then we'll move into the second option, and then I'll explain why I think it's better but not perfect. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to create some text, and right off the bat, I'm not happy with what happens here because the text always appears off center, and it even goes out of the frame. So I have to select the text, and it's a little bit difficult, and then I have to move it. And there's no way to automatically center it in the viewport. I have to eyeball it. So there's no option here to center this box within the photo. I have to eyeball it, and it looks like it needs to go a little bit more to the left. Vertically, it appears to be good, but I can't know 100% that it fits. All right, so next, I can select this text and delete it, and then I can go here, text for metadata, and I can add the camera, hit return. I can add the lens, return. I can add the shutter speed, return. The lens, shutter, aperture, and ISO. And let's add the focal length. And maybe I want to add copyright as well, so I'll add copyright. And this is all using tokens, so it's going to pull the information from the metadata. Now, I could select this text and I could change the color of it. One thing I discovered is that if you know the hex code, typing in here does not actually do anything. It types in here. So there's a bug with the color picker. Hit Control Z and bring this back. You can only change the color by using these swatches or this area here. Anyways, I'm going to keep it as white. You can also update the background. So here we've got color fill and background opacity. Let's just drop this, say, down to 35, and we can see more of the image. But I'm going to bring this back up to around 50. So I think that's better. Now, the final issue that I have with this is there's no way to add padding into this box so that the text is not butting up against the edges. Ideally, we would be able to add padding on all sides or top and bottom, left and right, so that it feels like there's a little bit of breathing room between the text and the edge of the box. Unfortunately, the only way to do this is adding spaces. So because I don't know how long the text is going to be, I'll add a space at the end of each of these variables so that it doesn't butt up against the right edge accidentally. And you can see, while this is not perfect, it kind of works. And if we grab a different tool now, we can see that the box auto updates with all of this information, which is great. You cannot select this box without selecting the text tool again. So I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to expand this box down. Now, ideally, there would be an option that you could turn on or off where the text box size would auto expand. That is also not available. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to blur the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an effect. I'm going to grab the blur, and this will create a Gaussian blur, and I'm going to drop it down to about 15. Yeah, there we go. So I think that this is exactly what I would like, except that, like the screenshot below that I showed previously, I want to add some icons here. Now in On1, I don't have the option to paste in some icons, whether they're SVGs or pings or whatever. So all I can do is just have this text or additional text below or inserted that I could manually add. So I'm going to grab the text tool, and when you're using this text tool, a lot of times it seems to hang. So I can put in here camera lens. I can manually add all this in. Shutter speed. Aperture. ISO. Focal length, typo. And now if I go out, it'll update and include my text. But this, it's a little bit busy and it's not as good as the icons. So what we've got now is we can create a preset. And to do that, you go to Settings, Save Settings as Preset. And I'm going to call this Camera Info. And I don't want Develop, but I do want the effects. I'm going to save this. And let's go test this preset out on this photo here. So I'm going to go and apply the preset. And voila, looks good. I'm going to go over to this photo. And if I apply the preset, it's going to remove all of my other settings that I've already applied to this photo. So I don't want to do that. What I want to do is right click and insert preset. So this adds the information from the preset on top of existing edits. So I'm going to insert this preset. Waiting. All right, so it still failed because it has completely removed all of the updates that I did. This did not appear in the center. It's somewhere else in the image. Now, additionally, if I go back and I choose a snapshot here of original edit, this should bring it back to what I had without this blur and without the text. Let's watch what happens. I'm going to click that. It's going to go back to my snapshot that I had previously created. And it's back, but the text is still there. So for some reason, snapshots ignore the text box. They don't, if the text box was added after, it doesn't get removed. So I have to manually grab the text box and delete it. This is not good. It is not working as expected. It doesn't center the text. So while you can use this, you're going to have to manually move the box around. If you've got existing edits, it's really not helpful. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to create an export preset, which, while not perfect, is better and definitely more usable than working with a developed preset. So I want to export this image. I'm going to go here, and I have this preset here that I use all the time for when I'm updating or exporting images to share on Vero, Instagram, and Facebook. So what I want to do is I want to use this same one, and I'm going to edit it to change the name. So name info. So because I'm going to include watermarking info, I'm going to keep the destination the same, all the other settings the same, and I'm going to go down here to watermark, and I'm going to open this up. Come on, show it. I don't want a logo watermark. Jeez. Oh, here we go. Add text watermark. And here we have the same options to include metadata from your photo. So I'm going to delete the text that's there. I'm going to add a token. And right off the bat, you can see we get a whole bunch more information than was available in the text module. So instead of just camera, now I have camera and make. And we'll add a space, and we'll add another token, metadata camera, model, copyright. There we go. So I've added all of this, but just like with the develop module, you cannot add icons, SVG, or pings, or anything like that. So all you get is text. All right, so what I want to do now is color fill the background so we can see it's color filled. Now, the problem with this, I believe, is as I fade the background, it also fades the text. So ideally, the improvement in the export module would be that you could fade the background div separately from the text, because I want to add transparency to the background, but I still want the text to be fully opaque. Unfortunately, I'm unable to do that, so I will just reduce the opacity maybe to like around 80 instead of 50 like I would prefer. And we have the same issue that the text is butting up against the edge. So I add a space at the beginning and a space at the end, space at the beginning, space at the end, space at the beginning, space at the end, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end. And we can't really see how well the spacing has worked in the preview, but I'll export it and we can test it there. And I'm going to change my font. I like Roboto Medium. So let's scroll down here. Roboto Medium. And we can increase the size of this box. And the insert thing does not appear to make any changes. I looked in the manual. It said something which I don't recall offhand, but when I made changes, it did not appear to do what the manual said. Bonus over using the develop module is that you can position within this grid of 9. So I want mine in the center. And this is what I want here, so that it is always in the center of the photo. So this is great. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save preset, and it comes up with a name. I'm going to call it camera info. I'm going to save this. Do I want to update the preset that I use for social media? No. So the big disadvantage here is that I cannot add a blur over the whole image using the export option. I do get all of the information that I want added to the photo. However, I also don't get icons. So really, I feel like this is almost there, but it's not like what these other people are doing. And I believe they're using Lightroom, because I have a friend who does this occasionally with his photos, and I know that he uses Lightroom. So it would be really nice if On1 spent some time and improved the export module or the text module to allow you to add padding and maybe insert some icons, or even if On1 added icons to their tokens so that you would have like the option to checkbox and insert an icon that On1 had chosen. So maybe you wouldn't have full ability to choose a custom icon, but it would be one appropriate. It would be really, really helpful. But for now, this is what we have. Now, I just noticed that here it says 2023 all rights reserved, and that's copyright. But I'm going to add my name because it's not there. And all right, so I also want to add the copyright symbol to the information. While not strictly necessary, I like it. Okay, so I went and opened up the character map in Windows. You can do that by typing character map after searching, and then I found the copyright symbol and pasted it in. Mac, you'll have to do something else, and now I've got this. So I'm going to... do you want to save them? Yes, because I updated my settings, so I'm going to set yes. And now I'm going to hit export, and I'm going to turn on the camera info, and we're going to get two different info versions. I'm going to get the version that I use for social media, and I'm going to get the camera version, which has .info at the end. So I'm going to export that, hit enter, and let this run. And here we go. So here's the first version, and here's the second version that has this overlay. So this is how you can add some camera information on top of your photo for when you're sharing on social media or whatever. This feature is probably designed mostly for adding watermarks for copywriting and things like that. But I really like the idea of being able to add some camera information to a second version and uploading that to social media. What I do want to see is the ability to add icons, as I suggested, improve the text box so that you can set padding around the top and the bottom and the left and the right separately. Right now, there's no option for padding. The only way you can do that is adding spaces before every line, which is not great. Additionally, I would like the option to blur the photo in the background. That's not available in the export preset. It is available if you're using a develop module preset. However, the text does not disappear or position itself consistently when applied or deleting the preset or reverting back to a snapshot. So overall, I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10 for ability to do what I want. On1 is amazing software. It's not Photoshop, which is why, you know, the text tool is not as developed or fully featured. I do hope that in the future that they expand on this option a little bit to improve it. Doesn't need to be a full-on text editor, just some basic options like adding padding to that, ensuring that placement stays consistent, and for the tokens that are used with camera information, maybe add the option to include an icon that is already part of the system that On1 has. Perfectly, it would be great if we could choose our own, but I would be satisfied with a pre-made icon that ships with On1 that I can turn on and off. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.